So me and one of my sisters were having a conversation. It was a few days before Thanksgiving. Um, we were discussing a personal issue that I was dealing with, and she was encouraging me, and somehow we got on a topic of family dynamic and the relationships and the bonds throughout the family. And she had brought up a scenario about one of her friends. She was going through some issues personally on the back end, and she was very stressed about work. And my sister told me that her friend's mother told her, like, hey, if you're dealing with what you're dealing with and you don't think you have the capacity to handle it, you could step away from your job, move in with me, or however the situation was going to play out, and I will myself help you with the bills so you won't have to worry about it. And my sister said that her friend declined her mother's offer because she did not want to be a burden on her. So she decided to thug it out instead of putting that extra stress and responsibility on her mother. Now, me and my sister both was like, man, we wish that we had, family background and history like that. Although we come from a decent sized family, like, we're not the Huxtables. And us being adults now, we all understand that. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Although me and her both agreed on, like, man, I wish that we all had a bond like that, and I wish, like, our mother's relationship was like that. And we was talking about how, like, during the holidays or whatever, we wish that, all of the siblings and my mom and all of us can actually come together, and it's not, so dysfunctional, to say the least. The love is there, but like I said, like, the family bonding, like, the way we would desire it to be, that's lacking. But the love is still there, so I guess that's okay. And then me and my sister started talking about how our upbringing and our conditioning kind of had a huge part to play in how we both raised our children now, right? And she was telling me about how she's affectionate, but she's not so vulnerable to receive affection. And I'm on the phone like, bro, that's crazy, because I'm the same way. Like, our mother, she was the protector, she was the provider, she had to be, the nurturer, she had to make sure everything was taken care of. So because she had to spread herself so thin, she kind of couldn't give the best of her. And I'm pretty sure also she did the best with what she was given in life, right? Just like the rest of us. I mean, we're not perfect in our own parenting, but given what we have to steward with, we try to maintain that to the best of our ability by God's grace. Because, raising children does not come with a blueprint. You learn as you experience, I guess. So me and my sister were both talking about our conditioning, and how it played a huge role on how we parent. And she's like, I'm not that affectionate, and I was like, don't trip, because I'm not that affectionate either, and more so because I'm raising boys. I have 4 boys, right? So I don't want to be that mother who is coddling her boys too much versus raising them. So I have to be stern with them, and I got a little voice, so they don't listen to me anyway, so I gotta, get a little aggressive. But I was telling my sister, long story short, our upbringing and our conditioning, if we are not careful with how we steward our children, it could kind of put them in the same headspace that we are in right now. Like, as far as, trauma, and wondering, am I going to be, an effective parent, an effective mother raising these kids? Or, and I made a statement. I was telling her, like, I know we went through what we went through, but that's also an opportunity for us to give our children the affection, the love, the attention, the time, the nurturing, the positive conditioning, that we didn't give. We can give that to them. We can make sure that their living environment is full of love, it's full of compassion, it's full of support. We can make sure that their living environment is full of everything that we didn't get. And she was like, girl, you know what? You're right. You sound like a counselor or something. And that's why I wanted to make this video. She encouraged me to make this video, right? I was going to just mind my business today, but the Holy Spirit was like, you got some work to do. Before I got sidetracked, the kids went back to school. All praise to the, won't he do it? All praise to the Most High, because Lord, between the holidays and these kids being out of school, I was about ready to lose it. But he right on time. This Monday, we got low-key a clear house aside the little one back there being asleep. So I was like, okay, let me get this video out. I had to come encourage about 100 of y'all because it's crucial, especially in the time we live in. I wanted to discuss the pain, the purpose, and the promise. Because we usually get so caught up with our pain and our hurt and our trauma and our disappointments and our letdowns and our setbacks and so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that, and we start to consume and harbor that, and then our hearts start to harden, and next thing you know, we got layers and layers and layers and layers and walls and stuff pulled up, and we shutting everybody out and we won't let nobody in, and that takes a toll on us. But today I want to talk about the pain. I want to talk about the pain, and I want to talk about the purpose, and I want to talk about the promise that comes with the pain that you turn into purpose. First, we're going to talk about the pain. Like I was saying, me and my sister, we were discussing, our upbringing and the conditioning, and we were like, man, God, why couldn't we be born into a family with the support and the love and yada, 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 yada. And long story short, we both came to the conclusion, like, you know what? Our mother was given the best that she was given, or did the best with what she was given, rather. Our mother did the best with what she was given, right? But we have the opportunity to allow our children to experience motherhood and parenthood the way that our perception of, motherhood should have been or would have been or could have been. But that's neither here nor there. Now, myself, on the back end, how I got here it's a long, long story. So I won't even get into that right now. But I had to surrender. I had to surrender my pain to God, because the way I was holding on to it was doing nothing but festering guilt and resentment and hate, and I was very angry, and I wouldn't let anybody, get even close to me, get even close enough to me to allow myself to be vulnerable with. But on the back end of it, that started to kind of affect my parenting, and not in a good way. Like, I'm a very, very, very good mother, but as far as providing and making sure the kids are taken care of and stuff like that. But I was so stuck in survival mode that I found myself like not being as loving and compassionate. You know, I was always here, always there. And I looked up one day and I was just like, oh my God, I had noticed I'm becoming my mama type shit. You know what I'm saying? So what I did is I had to get on my face, my hands, and my knees and just ask God to please, Lord, help me to steward my pain, Lord. Help me to steward the heartbreak, Lord. Help me to steward, you know, the trauma that I intentionally am not allowing myself to face and deal with. And slowly but surely, the Lord started to work on me and through me regarding, you know, conditioning and upbringing and my family dynamics. And I was, first of all, I had to be renewed in my mind. And the renewal of my mind had to transform to my heart. And the work that God was doing on my mind and in my heart, it had to exude from within me. So the more I found myself surrendering to God, the more I found myself being in His presence, I also saw the change within me. And then as I saw the change within me, I also saw the change of, you know, how I showed up for my children as far as being a mother. You know, I was still the provider, I was still the protector, but also I allowed myself to be vulnerable. By me being more vulnerable, and set the tone for a more positive and more supportive atmosphere. It set the tone for me to be more present with them. It set the tone for them to experience me as being their mother to the best of my full capability. Like being in God's presence, surrendering my pain and my hurt and, you know, my heartache, the setbacks, the disappointments, the resentment, the regret, the shame allowed me to release. It allowed me to be vulnerable, to be inviting, and the work that He was doing in me, it exuded outward, and it benefited not just me but everybody around me. And I was telling my sister that I was like, okay, I know we went through what we went through, but now we have the opportunity to be the, you know, the parents, be the mother that we wanted our mother to be for us and to us, to our children. And we have to do that in a way that we don't damage them, right? Because conditioning, I, if I can be honest, so because of my upbringing, I never wanted to have children because I knew that I, one, was not going to always be there to protect them, and two, like, my perception of the world is like, it's fucked up out here. Why would I want to bring children into this cold world? But I explained to my sister, it's a worldly perception of children, right? And then there's a biblical perception of children. And then for me, I was stuck on the worldly perception, like children are a burden, don't have them, they'll ruin your life, they'll mess your life up, blase, blase. Um, but I explained to my sister there's also a biblical perception. And I did not know until I had to get into the presence of God and ask Him, you know, to help me not to be so shameful of, you know, the unwise choices that I made, that, you know, the outcome were the children, which are blessings. But, you know, the sin, it's not the children, it is the action that produced the children, right? Out of marriage, I'm saying. But if you're married, I mean, and you out here, you know, you popping out kids and you married, more power to you. But I'm speaking to those of us who are not married with children that maybe feel shameful or because of that. Um, the godly perception is no, our children, they're not a burden. And children are actually given to us, they're blessings of God so that we can steward them. And as we send them out into the world, they can be effective vessels for the kingdom of God, right? And she was like, oh, you know what? I didn't look at it like that. girl, you know what, you should go be a counselor. You should go be a therapist. Nah, you need to be a therapist. Woo, woo, woo. You know how, you know, you know how it be when you on the phone and you with your siblings and y'all having, it's been some distance in between y'all, but when y'all on one accord, this shit is just like so beautiful. Excuse my language, but she was like, "Girl, you know what? You should be a counselor, a therapist," and that's where purpose comes into play. So we got the pain, we got the purpose, and we got the promise that comes with the pain and the purpose. Now, when she said that, it was like a light bulb that went off. Like, oh my God. Like, Lord, here I am. I've been speaking to you for years and years and years and years. Like, oh my God, you gave me the pain. Now, what you want me to do with it? And that's the question that you have to start asking. Okay, we know God gave you the pain. You went through what you had to go through. Um, you know, we all face trials and tribulations, adversities and heartbreaks, and it hurt, I know. But now that you recognize, okay, I have been through some things. Now that you recognize, okay, yes, I got a little bit of trauma I got to deal with. Now that you recognize, okay, if I don't get this under control, like, it's not just me that I have to think about. Like, I don't want to pass down, my trauma to my children. Now that you realize, okay, I got to get me together, you have to get into the presence of God, and you have to fall on your face, hands, and knees like I did and ask him, okay, God, you gave me the pain. Now what do you want me to do with it? How do I turn my pain into purpose? That's what you got to start asking God. And if I could say, I want to use the woman in the well as an example. So it was a story about the woman at the well. She was a Samaritan woman that Jesus had an encounter with, or I'd say that she had an encounter with Jesus, rather. He was passing through a town and he stopped. And it says here in John 3:26 that now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. John 3:27 says, a woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, give me a drink. 8, for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. John 3:29. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, how is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? So the Samaritan woman had an encounter with Jesus at the well. Y'all gotta go read the story about the woman at the well, because I don't think I have enough stories to get into it. But so I want to jump to John 4:36, verse 9, and it said, and many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified, he told me all that I have ever did. And that's where I want to talk about the purpose. Now, the story of the woman of the well is, it's beautiful, if you ask me. It kind of reminds me of my personal story. But after she had an encounter, she went back into the city that she was from, and because of her testament of God telling her about everything that she, had done, God read her. I'm talking about from script to script, told her about how many men she had, how many husbands she did or didn't have, and the woman was just like so in awe. She ran back to the city, and because she told everybody, okay, y'all got to come meet this majestic man. He just told me all of my business, and I got to come tell somebody about it. It was that serious. And because of her testament, it says here, John 4:36, and many of the Samaritans of the city believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified. And like I said, your pain was not just given to you just so that it can be given to you. Your pain was actually given to you so that you can turn that into purpose. And what the purpose is, I got it written down right here because I didn't want to, I didn't want to, the revelation that I got, I didn't want to mess it up. So it says that you're not really going through or getting through adversities in life just for you. It's your job to bring someone else out with you. Meaning God does not take us through trials and tribulations and, helps us get over our obstacles and, you know, brings us from our dark places into the light just because. It's not just for us. We go through what we go through, and if God gives us the grace to get through it, our job is to go out there and help somebody else get through, what they're going through, because it might be similar, with all of the people out here in the world. Like, you'll be surprised of how many people are going through the exact same things that you are going through, and you could be the catalyst to help bring them out of whatever situation they're going through. And that's what I was telling my sister, like just because we went through what we went through, like we lived through that. God gave us the grace to go through that, and now like we went through what we went through, but we lived through that, we learned through that, and you know experience is our best teacher. So now that we have children of our own, okay, we know what not to do, we know what to do, and so forth. But again, so the purpose and the pain. So God did not bring you through or help give you the grace to get through your adversities just for you. Because there is so many people in the world that also deal with adversities, and you may have just gotten through or are currently going through a situation that other people might be going through. Because God gave you the grace to get through it, and God has given you the grace to go through it. If you're currently going through it now, then you can be the voice of reason or the catalyst to help somebody else go through it. And that's where the purpose of your pain comes in. Now, the promise. The promise is easy. The promise is you allowing God to get all the glory out of everything He's taking you through. You hear me? And that's what I was trying to get my sister to understand. And shout out to her, because she was the one that encouraged me alongside the Holy Spirit to get on her today and make this video. So my challenge to you is stop allowing the pain that you have to consume you, and ask God, okay, God, I went through what I went through, adversities, hiccups in life, setbacks, challenges happens to everybody. So now that I went through what I went through, God, how do you want me to steward the pain? How can I help somebody else get through what I have gone through? How can I help somebody get through what I am currently going through? And just like the testimony of the Samaritan woman in John 4:36, verse 39, you will also bring many followers to Christ because of your testament. And a lot of people say, oh, don't be telling your business, woo, woo, woo. But what you think a testimony is? A testimony ain't nothing but you giving glory to God about all your business. Period. Nothing more, nothing less. So the purpose of this video was to encourage about at least 100 of y'all to turn the pain into purpose for God's promise. And that's for Him to get all the glory out of every situation, circumstance, good, up, the bad, the challenges, the excitements, the setbacks, the disappointment in your life. Let God get the glory out of it. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And yes, I just wanted to encourage, like, at least 100 of y'all, okay, to stop looking at your pain as a problem and look at your pain as purpose. Because there's always a reason that God takes you through what He takes you through. There's nothing done when it comes to a higher in vain, okay? And everything that transpires in your life, you gotta know He's gonna get the glory out of it. You might as well get in agreement so you can get to that promise. The pain, the purpose, and the promise. Now you gotta remember that you can't have one without the other. It's gonna cost you what it's gonna cost you. But guess what? All things work out for the good of those who love the Lord. I don't know how algorithm works. Somebody told me, you know, the way that the message will get out there is if you like, comment, or subscribe. I don't know. I usually don't do this, but I need like at least 100 of y'all to like, comment, subscribe, cuss me out, tell me you don't like me. Either or, it's not about me. I'm just trying to be a vessel. Fall in line, man. You have tuned into another encouraging video. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about that one somebody we should all know. I hope y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Stay blessed and be humble.